All right, let's move on to this 5-game slate here on Sunday. So, really quick though, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. Again, we'll be talking about the NBA DFS slate here. If you guys are looking for more in-depth content, you can check out my Patreon link down below. If you guys are and the sponsor of this video, guys, is Prize Picks. If you are a new user, make sure to use the code DKDFS. That'll give you a 100% match up to $100. Had a full sweep yesterday. Should have went 2 for 2 today. Tucker under easily hit. Desmond Bane PRA was easily going to hit. He only needed 3 more. And, oh, yeah, they lost by 40. So he didn't play the fourth quarter. But, hey, guys, make sure if you are a new user, take advantage of that free $100 if you do deposit with my code. Okay, so 5 games. Let's start off here with Washington and Cleveland. So for the Washington Wizards, mainly 3 guys that we want to look to here. That would be the top 3 with Beal, Porzingis, and Kuzma. Now, it has been Kyle Kuzma that has been actually the best of the 3 through 2 games. Now, I don't necessarily buy into this yet. He shot relatively well. In the preseason, it wasn't this way. So I know that's preseason basketball. It's a little bit different, but I'm still not a buyer into Kyle Kuzma being the top option here offensively. So I still have interest in Kuzma. I think he might be the most popular of their big 3, but I don't think he's going to continue to average like 45 fantasy points a game. Porzingis, the downside with Porzingis is minutes, right? At the moment, he's looking like he's going to play like 32 minutes a game. He was on pace for 32 last game against Chicago and then fouled out. We really haven't seen that big game from Porzingis yet. Only 3 rebounds last game. I would say that was a bit of an outlier as well. So Porzingis, I always have interest in for tournaments. And then Brad Beal is the most expensive at 8.3. The price has come down a little bit. It's more to a playable point. I still don't love the price, but he's going to play big minutes, 38 and 37 minutes through 2 games. So that's kind of my thoughts there in the big 3. The rest of Washington is kind of just there. There's no real standouts. Monte Morris is splitting minutes with DeLon Wright right now. 26 and 21 minutes for Morris. And then, not Denny. DeLon Wright, 27 and 22. So those 2 are basically splitting the minutes at the moment. DeLon Wright a little bit cheaper, so might give the edge to him. Will Barton not playing a ton of minutes, 25 and then only 17. So more of a tournament-only play. I think if he does play well, he could play a bit more. If you think Porzingis gets in foul trouble, you can look at Daniel Gafford, who normally is a pretty solid point per minute guy. Good shot blocker. So 4.4K, solid GPP play. Rui Hachimura is in the rotation, but I'm not doing a ton right now with the minutes. Denny Advia is 3.9K. He's kind of splitting those minutes with Rui. I mean, could do worse, I guess. Like 10 rebounds is definitely an outlier for Denny Advia. He's normally kind of scoring dependent. So like he's playable, but then I'm definitely not playing Anthony Gill. I have no reason why. There's no reason he should be in the rotation even. All right, moving on to Cleveland. So Darius Garland, I think he's gonna be back like next week. I believe they said. Yeah, Tarding returned Friday against the Celtics. So Donovan Mitchell, 8.6K. I think will be one of the more popular spend ups on the board. The stats from the game tonight aren't updated, but he had a really good game. Also, I think he had like almost a 30-point triple-double. Again, he's going to be their point guard basically. So I like Mitchell quite a bit. The only downside here is ownership, but I think he's going to be a very, very good play. The 2 bigs and Allen and Mobley are kind of just there. Again, they're both going to play over 30 minutes. They both kind of eat into each other's ceiling, though. Normally I'll be more excited about targeting Allen or Mobley if one of them are out. But with them both playing, like they're kind of just secondary plays for me. Karis LeVert started really slow, but he kind of salvaged that game. I don't know what he finished with exactly again because the stats aren't updated, but he'll be kind of that secondary playmaker for this team. 5.8K, I think makes him a pretty good option in the mid-range. Kevin Love, he had a double-double, I believe, tonight. He's not going to play a ton, but low 20s minutes is always a guy I like in GPPs. Chetty Osman dealt with some foul trouble. Why couldn't they just start Chetty? Why? I just made it so hard for me because I had him as a core play, and I was like, all right, coming off the bench, you probably can't do it. I get on to John Conchar. The Grizzlies lose by 57 points. But yeah, Chetty at 4-3 should play, 25-ish minutes. I would think off the bench. I think he's a decent value play. Okoro started. He's absolutely awful. And then, I don't really want to play Raul Neto or Dean Wade. So, Utah and the Pelicans. Can we talk about the Jazz? They are 2-0. This is one of the worst teams in the NBA. Someone make it make sense. At the top of the West currently, you have the Utah Jazz and the San Antonio Spurs. Those are the two teams up top. Just let that sink in for a second, that the Spurs and the Jazz are the top two teams in the West. All right, but so for Utah, I know they've kept it close, but going on the road against the Pelicans, who I think are a really solid team this year, there's definitely blowout risk. But if the game stays competitive, you got both guards, and Clarkson and Conley are playing around 30 minutes a game. Clarkson went for almost 50 fantasy points last game. I would say his ceiling is a bit higher than Mike Conley. Maybe the floor is a bit higher on Conley. Lauri Markkanen's been really good through 2 games as well. He went for a 50 bomb last game. So the top 3 guys for Utah are definitely in play. For some reason, they're not playing Sexton a lot of minutes, 21 and 19 minutes. So I'm just going to rather get to Conley and Clarkson who are going to play 10 extra minutes. And Kelly Olynyk, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he probably plays around 30 minutes. So I like Kelly O here. Again, staying out of foul trouble. He's a guy that definitely has the ceiling. We saw it last game. Vanderbilt's another guy that's always in foul trouble. I think he's a fair play. Decent rebounder, 12 and 14 rebounds now through 2 games. Malik Beasley's getting decent run off the bench, 25 and 30 minutes. I think he's probably my favorite Utah Jazz value play. Walker Kessler's backing up Kelly O. If you think Kelly O gets in foul trouble, you can look to Kessler, who when Kelly O got in foul trouble against Denver, Kessler had a pretty solid game there, 29 fantasy points in 24 minutes. The positive with Walker Kessler is he's going to be productive when he's on the court. So if he can find his way into more minutes, he definitely does have upside. I don't think I'm going to mess with guys like THT or Rudy Gay or my boy NAW. Moving on to the Pelicans. So this is a really good team. They're really, really solid. The tricky part about this team, though, is it can be any of the top 4 guys that have a good game on a night-to-night basis. Now, you basically saw all of them smash because they played the Hornets, who play no D. I guess Zion was the one guy that had kind of a letdown game, only 27 fantasy points. But Ingram went for 50. My boy JV went for 60. Yeah, 62 for JV. CJ went for 33. So him and Zion kind of the letdown games where it was Ingram and JV. But it could very easily be Zion and CJ tomorrow. So, that is the tricky part with everyone kind of priced up. And you have, potential blowout risk too. So I like the top 4 guys. But the tricky part is trying to nail down who it's going to be on a night-to-night basis. And we'll talk about that with a similar team coming up here in a second with Minnesota. I think they're pretty similar too with, their big 4. So that's the downside with those top guys there for the Pelicans. As far as the rest of the Pelicans go, Larry Nance, he should play 15 to 20 minutes off the bench. I don't think it's necessary to go to him. Herb Jones is starting. He should play about 30 or so minutes, but he's definitely the last option offensively. Trey Murphy, I have a little bit of interest in for tournaments. He should come off the bench, play about 20 minutes. He will chuck when he's out there, so always a guy that I do like for GPPs. Alvarado, 3.8K, 15, 16 minutes. You might need some foul trouble for a guy like CJ. All right, Minnesota and OKC. So Minnesota, basically the same, pretty similar team in my opinion to the Pelicans. Of the top 4 guys all are priced up, and then it's going to be tough to try to figure out who it's going to be on a night-to-night basis. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns kind of struggled through 2 games. Has not really produced playing alongside Rudy Gobert. Now, I will say he is shot awful. 2 of 10, 9 of 25. So you're not going to get Cat continuing to shoot that bad. In a matchup against OKC, I think he's a nice bounce back candidate. Rudy Gobert is just grabbing 20 boards a game, which is a little bit unreal. He's played very, very well, but since he's played better than Cat over the last couple games, I think I would give the edge to Cat in tournaments over Gobert, because I think people are going to be quicker to go to Gobert over Cat. For me, I would take Karl-Anthony Towns over Gobert for ownership purposes. And then Anthony Edwards and D'Lo, both in the 7K range, both have a ceiling, totally fine with either. Again, kind of similar though. They're playing against the Thunder. Definitely some blowout risk here, but. Top 4 guys all in play. McDaniels, I'll probably pass. He's going to play huge minutes, but not going to do a ton offensively. Game 1 was an outlier. He went for 40 fantasy points. And then there's one guy I'll mention off the bench, and that's Jalen Noel, who I think is a pretty underrated player. He's he's a good NBA basketball player, and he's playing, high teens to about 20 minutes a game. And the positive with Jaylen Nowell is he's going to come on the court and he's going to shoot when he's out there. 11 and 14 shot attempts, so a 3.8K. I think he's a decent value play. Moving on to the Thunder. So, where the offense is running through. I mean, this team, outside of like their main guys, you really can't trust anyone. So it's Shea and it's Giddey. You saw Giddey have the big game tonight. I don't think his stats are updated, no, but I think Giddey went for 50. He's 7-4, and then Shea is 8-7. I mean, if the Thunder want to keep the game competitive, you know why, right? It's these two guards. So I have Anderson both, obviously a bit of blowout risk, but those two should play big minutes, and if the game stays competitive, at least one of those guys can have a good game. Lou Dort is always just kind of there for me, relatively scoring dependent. And then just the rest of this team, they're running too many guys. They're playing like 13 guys. I mean, if you want to try to take a shot on one of these guys, you can. But for me, I'll probably just look to other values. All right, Sacramento, Golden State. So another game where, a little bit of blowout risk here going on the road against Golden State. But once again, it's going to be Fox and Sabonis. That is where the offense is running through. They're going to play about 35 minutes. Once again, you saw De'Aaron Fox had a good game. Sabonis, again, kind of struggled from the field, but almost had a triple-double. So the two main Kings guys I like for GPPs in Fox and in Sabonis. Keegan Murray played well off the bench. And start the man. Why are we starting KZ Okpala? Start Keegan Murray. Like, enough, all right? But yeah, Keegan Murray, 5.4K. I think he's a decent GPP play off the bench. You know what you're getting from Harrison Barnes, probably around 30 minutes. Evan Herter, also playing around 30 minutes, I think is a fair value play. So the top 5 guys I have some interest in. The rest is kind of tricky. With like Davion Mitchell, Terrence Davis, Malik Monk. I mean, one of those guys probably has a decent game, but again, I think they're going to go the hot hand approach. Holmes is just backing up Sabonis, not playing enough minutes right now. I'm not touching KZ Okpala. I don't think Trey Lyles plays enough. So it's basically just the top 5 guys there for the Kings. Moving on to the Warriors. We're also running a deep rotation. You guys know my absolute hatred for Steve Kerr. But yeah, Steph Curry at 9.9, I always like for GPPs. Just because this is the ceiling, right? He's got 60, 70 fantasy point ceiling when he's really knocking down his shots. The issue is the floor. The floor is relatively low. Like, we haven't seen it yet in the first couple of games, but Steph's got about 30 to 35 fantasy point floor if he really struggles from the field. So always more of a tournament play. And Andrew Wiggins, I mean, he's a different player. I mean, if you guys watch my DFS videos in the past, I mean, we knew how frustrating it was to roster Andrew Wiggins, but ever since the playoffs, this guy has really been a different player. He's been way more aggressive offensively. He's been their second best player by far through 2 games so far in the regular season, and he's a good rebounder, 6 and 8 rebounds last couple games, only 6.7K. Pains me to say, but I like Wiggins a good amount here in the mid-range. I think he's a solid play. The rest of Golden State, Clay and Draymond still on a limit. They're both fine tournament plays. Draymond still had a good game in limited action last time. Jordan Poole, also a solid GPP play. Only shot the ball 5 times last game. A little bit weird, but he should play close to 30 minutes. Again, does have a ceiling if he can knock down his shots. Looney, Wiseman splitting the 7 minutes. They can also go small, which I think they probably will do here against a small ball team in Sacramento. But worried about the minutes there. JaMychal Green is actually getting a decent run, 23 and 24 minutes. I don't think that we need to do it, but he's a guy that is getting right now the most run off the bench besides Jordan Poole. DiVincenzo surprisingly only played 10 minutes last game. That I would think his minutes go up maybe into that high teens to low 20s. So I think he's an interesting bounce back candidate there at low ownership. But yeah, I mean, the Warriors just play so many guys. They have Kuminga, they have Moody. Hard to trust a lot from the bench. All right, and then finally Phoenix. So Phoenix, we got to keep an eye on Cam Johnson news. He's questionable as well as Landry Shamet. Cam Johnson's out. You could see Shamet start if he plays. If not, it could be like Torrey Craig or Damian Lee. So it could be some value here for Phoenix. But top end guys, Devin Booker's playing at 40 minutes a game. 39 minutes in regulation last game, 41 there against Dallas, 41 minutes. So he's playing huge minutes right now. I have no issue if you want to fire him up in some GPPs. Chris Paul playing about 30 minutes a game. But is only 6.9K, a revenge game narrative against his former team. So I think Chris Paul's a solid option in the mid-range. I think DeAndre Ayton's pretty safe too. I just think this 6.5K is too cheap for a guy that should play low to mid-30s minutes. So I like Ayton a good amount here. Mikal Bridges should play huge minutes. I think he's a relatively safe play, a guy that is being a bit more involved offensively this year. And then, Cam Johnson, if he plays, I actually think is a solid value. If not, again, we could have Damian Lee, Landry Shamet, Torrey Craig could see, start. So we'll keep an eye on that news. And then Campaign is 3.7K, 19 and 17 minutes off the bench. Hasn't been great so far, but normally a relatively high usage player. Still a little bit of interest in him in GPPs. Jock Landale's the backup 5. If you think that Ayton gets in some foul trouble, you can consider a guy like Landale, again, in a large field tournament. And finally, the Clippers. So Clippers, it's going to be tough now again because Kawhi and John Wall should be available for this game. So we're going back to the, who knows who's going to play what. Yeah, this team is just really tricky when they have everyone healthy. I will mention Norman Powell shot 1 of 33 today, and that's not an over-exaggeration. He literally shot 1 of 33. Yes, I had him in my showdown and the late slate. 1 of 33. That was the correct stats, all right? But yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to prioritize anyone. I don't think I can play Kawhi. He only played 21 minutes last game. I think Paul George would probably be my favorite option. But again, he's going to be playing alongside Kawhi and John Wall, who's a pretty high usage player. Zubac saw his minutes cut, as I said. Like, there's no guarantee he will close. He did not. They closed small with Batum and Covington, and that can happen on a night-to-night basis. Reggie Jackson's out of play for me with John Wall back. I would say it's probably Paul George and John Wall being my favorite plays. A little bit interested in Ivica Zubac as well. This is a bigger team against Phoenix, so maybe he does close. And if you do think he closes, then then he's definitely underpriced. Like, if you think Zubac is playing close to 30 minutes, you can definitely fire him up. Morris, Powell, Covington, all kind of just secondary plays. So, yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the video. Again, if you have been enjoying the content, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Other than that, I will see you all in the next video.